last week, Sledgehammer gave us a little bit of a community update and talking about World War II, some things pertaining to it, some things that will be coming up, and all kinds of things in between. Now, included in that was talking a little bit about the Double weekend that passed. Of course, that's not live right now. Prop hunt, demolition, war mode XP, ranked play, the flak gun event, the inclusion of a prestige token, last chance, and one thing that we talked a little bit about but didn't really detail all that much because it was just something in passing, that being custom community playlists. And at that point in time, we didn't really have all that much given to us in terms of information about it, in which the description of it simply just said innovation and creation is what this is all about. Here's the deal. We'll come up with a good long list of map and mode combinations based on existing offerings, and we're going to let you chime in with your favorites. The narrowed down list of top picks will go into a customized community playlist created by you. So keep an eye out for our Reddit post kicking this off very soon. Now, it sounded good in passing once again, and it was something that whenever we talked about it last week, we didn't really give too much of a focus or too much of a platform for it to thrive on and for us to give much discussion to. And so, as such, it was something that just got pushed to the back of my mind, but today we actually ended up getting a little bit of an update to this, because last week Sledgehammer said to keep an eye out for this and they'll be kicking it off very soon. Well, earlier today we ended up actually getting that Reddit post in which they did kick this off, and we ended up getting our first ability to give an actual representation of ourselves and vote for what we want to see in a custom playlist for the community. So if you guys are active over on the Call of Duty World War II subreddit, you might see this already and you may have even taken advantage of this, but if you end up going to it, it's a straw poll link in which you can end up just doing a simple, once again, check mark of what maps and modes you want to see, and listed in this is Samurai Dumont S&D, Samurai Dumont Prop Hunt, Ardennes Forest, TDM and Hardpoint, Flak Tower Hardpoint and Kill Confirmed, Aachen Domination and Search and Destroy, Carrington CTF and Domination, Gibraltar Hardpoint and Domination, Gustav Cannon of Prop Hunts and TDM, London Docks of Hardpoint, Domination, and TDM, Point to Hawk of Kill Confirmed, Domination, and Hardpoint, and USS Texas of Prop Hunt, Search and Destroy, Hardpoint, and TDM. So that's your full listing here of this, and really it might come as a surprise to some people, the amount of things that we have to vote on, but also the limited amount of things that we might have to vote on some. So with that said, if you guys are interested in making your vote count in that sense, I'll leave the link down there in the description below that you guys can go check it out. It's live until the 20th, so you have about 2.5, 3 days, depending on when you end up watching this, to which you can end up making your vote count, but of course you only have one vote, so check off as many as you guys would like to, but that is something in which you'll have your voice counted for, and of course, then Sledgehammer will whittle it down, and then we'll see where this goes in terms of a community playlist going live. Now, if I were to guess on when this actually comes out first, this vote is probably going to be after the Resistance event, because we still have Prop Hunt with Double XP and Bomb Mosh Pit, which is next week's featured playlists. So if it were up to me, I wouldn't say try and sacrifice what was going to be that player count in those two modes, so I would assume that it's going to be coming after the Resistance event ends. So not this coming week, but the week after potentially, and that's when we actually might even see Domination XL thrown in, but that's an entirely different story altogether. But that said, you have a couple of days still to vote on this. Link will be down there in the description below if you guys want to give it a shot, but let's talk a little bit about this, because like I said, this might come as a surprise to some of you guys what we have on the table to even vote for, because some of these might not be up to what you're hoping for. So where I've seen a lot of the discussion is the fact of the current offering, what is available at the very moment that you can vote for. There's a lot in here that is listed, yes, but really not all that many are out of what is already played on a consistent basis throughout all the game modes. It's not really anything new and there's no exclusivity to it. Now, if I'm taking this from, say, just an outside perspective, I'm assuming that people would want to see modes like Prop Hunt, Demolition, Gun Game, and the sorts of stuff in this that we have right now that are once again those very limited time only type of modes. But instead what we have are the majority of standard modes and map sets that are already in the rotation. And as it stands right now, this new community straw poll is something in which we only have 3 maps, not even modes that are brand new, 3 offerings in general out of this entire list that are for prop hunts, and that's the only thing that is out of the standard rotation of like the regular modes and maps that we have to offer. So Samurai Dumont, Gustav Cannon, and USS Texas are the only ones that have a chance right now of sitting at seeing prop hunt again before, say, another event would come around, which is something that I don't know how I feel about just yet. All this stuff is ironically what is voted on a lot already in regular playlists. The only difference is that with this list and the ability to narrow it down, it would limit that playlist to be only those modes and maps that are already played a lot. So to me, and what I'm assuming a lot of other people are seeing here out of this, their first impressions are the fact that this community playlist is just a way to incorporate what would be a regular gaming experience if you went into these different modes, the maps you'd already see. So therefore, I think that if you take a look around and see some of the community reaction for this, it might not be the best thing or everything you were hoping for at the very moment. But here's where I start to turn this around in my mind. What I think is that this is just a start. This isn't what we're going to be seeing consistently throughout the year. I think this is just the very basic start of this and how you kind of implement it in the sense of opening the community up on how this is going to be run with, say, a straw poll over on Reddit on, say, a maybe weekly, bi-weekly, or every other month basis, something like that, in which we have a set time frame that we can tune back in and take a look at when we can vote on something and when our voices can make a difference in what we see directly in the game. And that's something that I think is just the very bare basics. This isn't something that I'm expecting to be the entire way through this map set and mode set, because right now, once again, a lot of it doesn't really stick out to me all that much. I personally don't think that it's always going to be like this, but instead, it introduces the community to this sort of mentality on how it's going to be run. It introduces us to that way of how we can make our votes count, where to go for this, and essentially does this without sacrificing too much of what people would want to see, say if they added Infected just for this in terms of that community playlist. If there's the first thing, not many people may have all that knowledge about it, so therefore, a lot of people might miss out on it, and therefore their vote might not propel that into what ends up becoming that community playlist throughout, say, a week or 2 weeks in-game. Now, I'm not saying that would actually happen, but just for that theory, this then allows people to see how this is going to work and gradually allow more people over time to see the process and get their votes on things they want to play. So therefore, I think that's just the basics and how this is going to work. This first maybe 1 to 2 community playlists might not be the most enticing, but it will allow people to see how it works. Now, where this then leads in the future, well, that's where the sky's the limit. I think that honestly, we have a lot of stuff that we can see throughout the year in terms of it being added in for, say, featured events like Winter Siege, like the Resistance event, and how we've seen it thus far, but also in just the sense of offering it to the community via these community updates and these votes that the community can directly involve themselves on. If you guys do recall, there are still a ton of game modes that we haven't seen or that may have been, air quotes, scrapped. Whether or not that's something that's held off until a later date or they were actually cut from the game, there's still a lot of things that we have not seen in the public version of World War II that are in the game code, and some things that of course can still return. So we have game modes like Gun Game and Demolition, which we've already seen on top of Prop Hunt, though they're not in on that initial listing of what you can vote for this upcoming playlist, but they're still there, we've already seen them. We also have things like Infected, Blades, Lockdown, Air, Aces, and Control, which we've yet to see but are in the game code, some of which might be completely cut because they are very similar to, say, Domination. That's what Control is very similar to, but we also have things like Lockdown, which is a hard point, and Domination sort of mix and variation, but then we also can see things maybe coming in the way that we can vote on later on that weren't necessarily in the game code, but either Sledgehammer has worked on in the past, or some things that maybe they haven't worked on in the past because Prop Hunt was never something that Sledgehammer really did beforehand, but we already saw that in World War II because it was such a fan favorite. Things like One Shot returning from Advanced Warfare would be very cool. Snipers only playlist, that'd be awesome, I think. But then maybe some other classics like One in the Chamber or All or Nothing. Those are quite possible that maybe if there is enough community reception for it, Raven could end up working on this and we have this external mode being brought into World War II and something that players can vote on in a future update. So there's no sort of limit to what we can see here potentially, but it all comes down to a matter of if it will happen and if this is something that Sledgehammer is willing to work with. I think that once again, the way this is set up at the very moment, I think that it's a very cool idea, but right now, it's not exactly the ideal state in which myself, you, and maybe even Sledgehammer would like to see it, but instead, it's an entry-level thing in which players can get their hands on and grasp how this is going to work in World War II. But all that said and out of the way, if you guys are worried about this first one, well, you're not alone in that sense in which you were maybe hoping for more, because myself and a lot of other people were definitely hoping to see more out of this community playlist that we can vote on, but like I said, I wouldn't worry too much just yet. I think that this is just a very basic installment of this and a very basic building block on something we can see this flourish into being a great way for the community to come together and play their favorite modes and maps all within one. So that said, I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Firstly, are you guys looking to vote on this? And if so, let me know your thoughts on the modes and maps you voted for, because I'm always curious to see what your thoughts are on this kind of stuff. And of course, if there's anything that you want to see in the future being added in for these community playlists, let me know down there in the comment section down below as well. But that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this gave you guys some insight onto this, and if it did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding World War II, anything regarding these updates regarding this kind of stuff, best class setups, tips, tricks, news, information, all that good stuff will get you covered here up on the channel. So if any of it interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to check out a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram, I'm trying to get a little bit more active over there as well. So if you guys want to follow on that avenue, link is down there as well. But hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine is an espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.